disruption, bringing all the nerve. RB leads the charge, the king of the show. Lick's got the hustle, always on the go. Petty D skirring, bringing the heat. Foley's new school, keeping it elite. Penguin stays chill, smooth with the flow. Freaks got the stats, every number you know. JD's the boss, watch all takes. PTD's the show that debates and shakes. One the disruption where opinions collide. Hot takes, sharp minds, no place to hide. Questions, bold moves, every angle in play. PTD's the league's voice, your highlight of the day. It's PTD breaking through the static. Pardon the disruption, bringing all the magic. It's PTD breaking through the static. Pardon the disruption, bringing all the magic.
What's up, everybody? This is Tim, also known as Lick. I'm here with Andy, D, Kane, and Freak on episode of PTD on Friday. Leading into the big weekend, does anyone have any big plans other than watching NDL game day and real college football and high school football kicking off? That's it.
I'm looking forward to college football as well as some high school ball, but unfortunately I'll be working this weekend and trying to spend a little time with the family.
What about you, DK? Are you doing anything other than football this weekend?
Actually, yeah, I am. This weekend is my 3-year celebration for sobriety, so I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Congrats.
Hanging out with friends and family. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I got going on. That and trying to track down Bucknut, who still has not gotten back to me about playing our game.
Ooh,
So, yeah,
there you have it.
those are my
Bucknut's
plans.
dodging DK.
So you're saying he should drop to number 10, right?
Tell me about it. Man, come on, man. I got USF, man. Let's just go ahead and get this pain over with for me. Jeez.
That means nothing. You got the dub.
Well, there you have it, Andy. Andy, what about you? Doing anything other than hanging out with your son this weekend?
I play baseball in the summer and our year-end parties tomorrow. Other than that, nothing really.
Sounds exciting. We're going to jump right into this episode of PTD Everything NDL today. We're approaching block 3. This question's for anyone that wants to answer it first. Do undefeated group of 5 teams with an easy or soft schedule have an argument to be ranked over Power 4 teams that haven't played very many games yet?
For me, it comes down.
So,
go ahead, DeCan.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, it comes down to, yes, they may have an easier / softer schedule, but it depends on who they played and how dominant the victory was. Some Power 4 teams may not have as many games in, but they may turn up later on in the season, so you may see more group of 5 teams being voted in now, compared to towards the end of our season, block 6 and 7.
I know for me, this goes with rewarding being active versus inactive. I mean, and granted, yes, some people have vacations, some people have things popping up, but in all honesty, it's kind of hard to say the whole easy schedule thing, because what's an easy schedule for a P4 school might not necessarily be an easy schedule for a G5 school. When these schools are like 2 to 3 ratings apart in this version of the game, that's not that much of a difference, and actually sometimes even more. So just because the ratings may say that it's a slightly better team doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy game or easy schedule. But I mean, if we're just basing it off the numbers, there still are a lot of schools that have played teams that are fairly close in ratings, games that could have gone either way depending upon the number of mistakes. So if you have a team out there like an Akron that's 4-0 that have actually played some decent G5 schools, I would still give them a nod as far as like probably in the bottom half of the top 25, but I definitely give them a nod over a team who hasn't actually gotten any games in yet.
What about you, Freak? You with us, Freak? Or are you muted?
I actually was the first one to go.
I mean, for me, the only thing that I would say is, in its semantics, a lot of the teams we're probably talking about are not the teams that are going to drop out of the rankings altogether. But you're almost benefiting the teams if they fall out of the rankings, and then they like say LSU. If nobody ranked LSU, then all of a sudden LSU has a ranked game next week. They get ranked versus unranked coach bonus points just because they didn't play their games. That's the only. I mean, that's always going to be a problem, probably. That you benefit them more by not ranking them and giving them a chance for coach bonus points than you do by ranking them in what is theoretically a meaningless poll in the season. But whether they're 8th or 15th or 26th.
So when Andy, you bring up a meaningless poll, when would you consider a poll meaning, or like
In reality, none of the polls matter. The only thing that matters is the college football playoff committee. Like all of it's it's theoretically for fun for us to give guys plus or minus like notoriety for their rankings and stuff. But the only way that it matters is for coach points, and then you're giving the guys who haven't played their games an incentive to theoretically not play their game. By if we don't play our games, we get bumped down in the rankings, kind of deal. I'm not saying people are doing that, but it's there.
Do you think? Do you guys think that the committee members? Do you think that the polls ever slightly maybe do influence how they vote at all?
Yeah, I mean, we've had committee members come on and say that the polls influence how they vote. Like, look at
Vic was on here
Texas.
not too long ago.
Yeah, look at what happened with Texas when they were ranked, but they didn't have any games in, and the committee looked at all of that, and
but
Texas,
by the end
they
of
were
the
like,
year, happen. Whenever their games are in by the end of the year, it's all in. You know what I mean? Like during the season, it doesn't hold a ton.
yeah, I think that this right here, this topic is a good segue into another topic that we have, or another subject we have as far as a topic to talk about, because I think that topic there would actually solve a lot of this problems right here.
So the next question that we do have on PTD is, it's been a hot topic in the live chat over the last recent week or two, is should the scheduling blocks that we have close earlier than just opened all year? And so should they call, like an example, should they close after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, like block 1 would close and so forth, to kind of put pressure on people to getting their games in?
Yes. I think that the game should run just like the online dynasties. I mean, in dynasties you have 48 hours or 24, depending upon the rotation. But I think 1 to 2 weeks is a substantial amount of time to get a game in. And if you don't, then that game should either be, depending upon if there's communication, either a fair sim or just like we do in online dynasties, is either a fair sim or a forced win. That way, it keeps people on time and on track. It also helps out the admins at the end of the year because they're not simming a bunch of games at the end of the year. It helps people in their polls because they can see if it's a sim winner or not throughout the season. So it's a lot easier for them to go ahead and vote on that aspect. And to me, it just helps keep the ship moving. It helps to keep us from getting stagnant and sitting in that lull of waiting for people to get these games in for whatever reason that they may have waited for. So I think having that option or having that as an option would actually be a pretty big benefit to us.
Look, I am I'm 50-50 on this subject because I agree with it. It will make owners look for games a lot quicker and try to get their schedule down and play faster. However, being someone that works two jobs, tries to get some sports in as well as family time too. I personally have my wife kicking up a storm when I try to play a game, and then dealing with the 6-year-old son as well. So it's yes, there's plenty of time in a day, plenty of time in 2 weeks, but unfortunately, it it can hit close to home at times. But it all depends on each other's schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it should not be taking guys a month to get a freaking game in. I'm sorry, it
Yeah, but
shouldn't. And
so
and wait.
one of the biggest perks though, DK in the NDL, and lots of people have talked about it before. One of the biggest perks in the NDL for family members, the players that played with family, was the flexibility of playing. So, like in an online dynasty, the way it's set up is you have to play during that week, and then it sims to the next week. There's no way to play out of sync. The flexibility of the NDL has always been a big bonus, is that you don't have to play in that one week. I like the idea maybe of opening it up to like a 3-week window, but you're still going to have that lag on the back end of the schedule, giving someone an extra week to play that last block of games. And so at the end of the day, does it really matter though? I think that would probably be the biggest question is, does it really matter if you close out the blocks? The only thing that it would probably help with is the poll voting, award voting, and like your media write ups, right? It's really hard to do media content when only one or two teams in a conference have played games, right? It becomes very
Well,
difficult.
to add on to that, you also have to think about it. The coach reports, they wouldn't be able to submit their coach reports, submit stats. So would happen to benefit the teams that did happen to play within that 2-week to 3-week span. Yet it will hurt the other teams that maybe missed the deadline. So they won't be able to enter in their stats. They won't be able to enter in their coach reports. So it could affect those teams that aren't playing within that specific time range, which it could benefit the league as well.
And I think it's an interesting topic. I mean, I like all your guys' points. Is that no one likes the guys that are like 0-0 going into block 4, and but again, a lot of times I don't, we don't go into the scheduling threads to see what's going on, right? Like, I mean, some people go on vacation for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, or obviously the fall is a busy time for people with kids and sports. And so sometimes that flexibility, I know we have a couple basketball coaches in here, right? One of them coaches collegiate basketball, and during his college season, he's very minimal NDL, right? And so he's doing a lot on the front end and the back end. Um, and so it is really interesting. Obviously, the different time zones make it difficult sometimes. And like Freak talked about, having kids, having babies, there's a lot of things that factor into it. We'll jump on to the next topic here. We have several little subtopics here, but a decent amount of coaches with high quality teams haven't had the greatest start. We won't mention anyone in here. Do you think they have a shot at making a turn, being 2 blocks in? And we will start actually pointing the finger right at our very own Freak, with Michigan off to a horrible start, right? At a conference, we would say that it's a very horrible start. Freak, I'm going to ask you directly. First off, what is it going to take to turn around the program in Michigan? And do you think it's something that you can do?
What is it going to take to turn around Michigan? Practice and actually playing the game is number one. Making time to play and practice and get up to par with all these other teams. In regards to the season goals and win goals, I'll tell you one thing. I already missed my win goal. However, there is a possibility of keeping the team if I were to win 7 of my 8 conference goals, or maybe beat some ranked opponents as well as some rivalry wins too. So there's are other factors that may run into it. Yes, I do have bank points to bank on for this upcoming season, and I'm not counting the media points. Now, if there's one member that wants to start their crap like they did last year, I will use my media points, but we'll go into there. I still need to make that +5. So no, I don't believe I have a great chance at keeping the team, but hey, who knows?
What about you, DK? Do you think he keeps him?
You can be honest.
If he keeps playing the way he's playing right now, no. But I mean, he told me to be honest. But Freak can turn stuff around, but it's all about whether or not he gets the time to invest into the game that he needs. And I mean that's what it comes down to. Because a lot of guys that you see that are doing pretty well, you see them in the scrim channels, you see them in the blitz channels, you see these guys playing games. So I mean, there's a bigger learning curve in this game than it was in 25. And there's a lot more. And the next minute, it's kind of like, oh crap! Like, how did this even happen? So, I mean, I hope that the guy can keep him. I really do. I really do hope that you can keep him, Freak. But it might take an act of Congress. You might have to pray to Allah, Jesus, and Muhammad. I don't know. Good luck. That's all. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Good luck.
Buddy, I need yes or no. Does he keep him?
I'm saying no. I mean, he's got to play Ohio State. He's got to win 7 of 8. He's got to play Ohio State. I'm chalking that up for a loss, and then you got to win the rest of them. I don't know what they host on the schedule, but I'll say no.
Yeah, so the PTD crew here unanimously is voting that Freak is getting fired at the end of the season at Michigan.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, you got I mean
You're right,
really Freak, there's some you got some poster board material for your locker room, but I don't know that it's really gonna matter. Next up,
I've had post-war material since the Georgia game. So don't worry.
So next up, we got Texas Tech, who sits at 1-1. They have to win 8 conference games, play in their conference championship game, and they need to beat Houston and Oklahoma State. What do you think? We'll go with Andy.
I looking at the list beforehand. This was the one team that I thought could maybe not the only team that could turn around and not get fired, but the only team that I thought would turn around and like have a season that we maybe expected from. If that makes any sense. There's going to be other teams in the list that aren't going to get fired, but I think this is the one that has the biggest chance to turn around and do something.
What about you? Does anyone think that they're going to get fired?
I personally don't think Texas Tech will get fired. I think he'll have a very close and tough schedule towards the very end. I think he wins both rivalry games, but that winning of needing to win 8 conference games, that's a lot.
Yeah, looking at his schedule and what he has, and also looking at the caliber of the teams in the Big 12, I don't think he gets fired either. But like Andy said, not only does he not get fired, he still has an opportunity to turn his season around and possibly see himself ending up in, the CCG or even the CFP at the end of the season if he can get things rolling.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I think that the doors open out of all these teams that'll be borderline. I think he has the easiest path, if there is such a thing in the NDL, the easiest path to be re-signed by Texas Tech and given an extension. Mainly because I think the rivals that he's playing are very winnable, and so to get those points and playing the conference championship is there. You have some other teams that are struggling. You have Colorado's 2-2, but you do have Cincy. You got Utah, Iowa State, and Baylor. I just really don't see Texas Tech playing in the conference championship this year. I think that'll be the biggest one. but I think he has the easiest route. Next up, we'll talk about Georgia. Obviously, just picking on the media members today. Georgia's off to a struggling start. Does have a tentatively hard start to the schedule, as many would say, to start the season. But to start off 1-2 would probably have to be a disappointment. And then I think their conference, I think your win goals is you have to make the college football playoff, and then you have Auburn. You have 4 rivals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to it because I know a decent amount. Like, if I don't win out, I'm fired. That's just how it's already like that. If I get a third loss, I don't hit win goal. And I get a third loss, I don't hit a conference win goal. And then you also throw in the fact that I already lost one of my rivalry games. So
at least you beat Freak.
good.
So, like, what if Michigan hires you next year, right? Because you beat Freak. Like, at least they know that you're better than Freak.
Well, I won't be that high in the polls. I'm scoping out my mid tier G5s right now.
Yeah, you obviously have a tough road ahead. Georgia plays Alabama, Florida, Texas.
Yeah. The big one was I couldn't lose the Florida State game. That was the one that really killed me. Like I knew that the 4 in conference games were going to be tough, and I scheduled a couple tougher. I mean, not like I didn't schedule Clemson, but I scheduled a couple like not cupcake games in my non-conference. But yeah, I couldn't lose. I couldn't lose the Florida State game. Once I lost that, I knew I was pretty close to toast. If I couldn't beat 6 overall less Florida State, I was gonna have trouble beating the SEC gauntlet.
Yeah, to keep it in the SEC here, we have some other teams on the hot seat in the SEC. We have Texas A&M right now sitting at 1-1. They got to win 7 conference games. They also need to play in the college football playoff, and they have rivals in Arkansas and Texas. Does anyone see Texas A&M getting an extension?
I don't fully think so. I believe they have a very hard schedule as well as a hard conference. The SEC conference is one of its own, but there's plenty of tough coaches there. So the fact that they need, I think it's a CFP berth, and I'm not sure how many bank points he's working on right now. I don't believe it's going to be easy.
What about you, DK? Do you see any chance where Texas A&M can get an extension?
No. No, and no.
He does have a really tough schedule coming up. He obviously lost to Penn State, but he plays LSU, Missouri, and Texas, and both LSU and Missouri and Texas are all on the road. He does get a host, Big Mike in Florida, but he's potentially, he's got to win 2 out of those 4 games. I just don't see that happening. But his defense is really good, one of the better defensive teams in the video game. And so I guess anything can happen if he kind of figures it out. But I also with you. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
So we'll keep it in the SEC for another school here. We have Auburn, who's on the hot seat, starting off 1-2. He's got to win 5 conference games, finish top 7 in the conference, and his rivals are Alabama and Georgia. Does anyone see Auburn sticking with it in Auburn, or is he getting shit canned by the end of the season?
I think he has a possibility to keep the team.
You think Auburn is gonna potentially win 7 games?
No, they have to potentially win 5 conference games. So yes, I believe there's a possibility.
5 conference games. Yep. And he was predicted to beat. So he had to beat SMU, right? What's SMU's ranking?
Who knows? Who cares?
Well, because he lost to SMU, and Auburn's an 84. No, they're both 84 overall. So he lost to Northwestern, and then obviously he beat Michigan. His other non-conference game would be what? Georgia Tech. And so the Northwestern game he had to win. He's a 6-point overall favored on that game, and he lost. And so he's going to lose some points there to where he doesn't gain any of those bonus points. So it'll be really interesting.
Well, was that a home game or an away game?
It was an away game at Northwestern.
Okay, see, yeah, he lost out on 2 points there. Gotcha. And a win.
But he does play at Oklahoma. He plays number 12 Georgia, which obviously that'll change. Then he plays Missouri, and then he plays Alabama, who's a rival. And so, I mean, I kind of like your thought process here is that he's got a lot of winnable games. But man, I don't know. That SEC it's just tough when you look at it. All those coaches are just so well rounded, and I think the talent level in there is just so close. Does anyone think he's getting fired?
I'll say he does, only because the rough start already. What 1-2, is that what he was?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
And then-
yeah, he's 1-2.
I'll say yes. I'm not saying it's a definite, but if I had to put money on it, I'd probably say yes. Just because those rivalry games are tough. I mean, obviously it's semi-biased because I'm Georgia, but Georgia and Bama is your rivals are. It's a tough ask.
We're going to jump way over onto the West Coast here. Talk about Arizona State. High expectations coming into the season. Starting off the season 1-1, they've got to win 7 games and play in the conference championship. Their rival is only one rival, which can make it very difficult if you lose it. Arizona. What kind of path do you see Arizona State taking, Andy? We lose him?
Sorry, I was doing something else. I'm gonna say fired only because of the rough start, and I know he's kind of had like I'm along for the fun, the good team fun ride. That the Big 12 has so many games where it's like they're just so evenly matched, and he's having to win. He has to win 10 games, and he's already dropped a couple. Based on that, I would say he's gone.
What about anyone else? Does anyone else think he's keeping his job?
No, I think he's going to end up losing the job. I haven't looked at his entire schedule. I know he's got a few tough opponents on there, and I know he definitely has Texas Tech on his schedule as well. So it might just come down to that game. But to be, at least he has a little leeway. They have 9 conference games, so he can lose 2. But the necessity of needing to make the conference championship game is a whole different aspect.
I'm not even going into details. I'm just going to say no. He doesn't keep that team. Not
So what about Indiana? That's the last one on our little list here. 0-2. It's got to win 7 conference game, finish top 4 in the conference. His rivals are Michigan State and Purdue. What's the chances that Indiana get kept?
5%.
I'm saying not likely as well. I don't know the rest of his whole schedule. I know we have a non-conference game late in the year. I'm not saying that's going to be like a definite win for me, but that's just another tough game for him that probably not being looked at.
I love my boy Phony, but unfortunately, I'll only give him like a 5% chance to keep the team. I believe he's got the gauntlet of at least Ohio State and Oregon, or Ohio State and Penn State, something like that, towards the end. I may be completely wrong, but he's got some tough opponents, tough coaches.
He didn't do himself any favors. He really went after it in the non-conference scheduling. He went and played Utah. He played SMU, and so it'll be really interesting. And then I think he has another matchup later in the season against Georgia and Andy. And he does play he plays pretty much all the teams in the conference. He plays Illinois, Oregon, and then Penn State, who's having a great season, Nidler there. So it'll be really interesting. I think that conference is up for grabs, though. I just don't know if Phony is playing very much. I know he's really big into this Delta Force shooter game, and so I don't think he's playing very much college football. And
Rumor has it he's been sniping people.
yeah, that's probably all he's been doing. He ain't been beating people in college football. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think he keeps him. I think he ends up getting fired. So here's a kind of a topic. I'll just start with Freak first. What are some of your game day pregame rituals prior to playing an NDL game? Examples, maybe you have a quiet room, a beer, music. Do you like to play a warm-up game? Like, what are some things you like to do prior to the game?
Man, you should have started with one of the other guys. I have no pregame warm up because I don't have the time to truly warm up. I'm trying to get the wife out the room, trying to get my 6-year-old to sleep. Man, if I had a pregame warm up, would be listening to some music, have a cold beer, and man, some type of sanctuary.
What about you, DK?
I guess. Well, you guys already know about me. I mean, I have to have a warm up game if I'm going to play a league game. My ADHD is horrible, and I'm not even joking. Like it takes a little bit for my brain to kind of get going and get processing and get into that game mode. So if I don't play a warm up game first, and it's not just the game itself, playing against a user is different because now my brain is functioning against user reactions and not CPU reactions. That makes sense to me. I don't know if it does to anybody else. But that's a really big thing for me, and it showed. Like my last season with Georgia, I was so busy I didn't get a chance to do warm up games. So and it showed in my gameplay. I did not play the same way I did the previous 3 seasons. So yeah, warm up games are really big for me.
I don't do anything. Yeah, I kind of just hop on whenever it's time to play. If I get time, I try to hop on and play, but I don't. Similar to Freak, I mean, I know I have more time than Freak does. It seems like, but similar to Freak, like I whenever I have time without the kids, or without the wife isn't around, I'm gonna try to hop on and play. But yeah, I don't really have time to like actually put 2+ hours aside to make sure I get a warm up game before my other game. I kind of just hop on. Usually someone's asleep, TV's on low, and I just start playing.
Yeah, for me, I don't really have anything either. I usually just it's a hey, can you play? I hop on, turn on the stream, and then just start playing. I know I used to listen to a lot of music when I played. I'd put like Spotify up on my PlayStation, and stuff like that, but I just really don't do that anymore. I guess that's all the topics we really have. I'll just touch on I guess have there been any big results that you guys have seen over the course of the last block or so that just really stood out to you? Maybe an upset one way or the other, or just a really exciting game that you were able to tune in and watch. And you can't pick the Florida Miami game that just happened.
Why not? That brought us to PTD. Come on, that upset was nice.
Well, I know, but we'll get to that. And so you got to pick something else.
I haven't watched much of the game, so I can't really say much.
Well, I mean the South Carolina and Missouri game was actually pretty good too. I mean, that was a 23-21 finish. That was a little bit of a back and forth barn burner for those two guys.
I honestly haven't gotten to watch a ton. I know whatever the last season I watched a ton, but I think I said it before to somebody else that now that like we're in the theoretically like thick of college football dynasty season, I got multiple dynasties going on now, so I'm usually playing, and I feel like there have not been as many daytime games I mean to watch while I'm at work than there usually is.
Yeah, I think
I agree with you there.
I think that the fall, is always a busy time. The game just comes out, but we usually start the season right around the time school starts, whether it's college, high school, kids. And so it becomes a pretty busy time with all the sports and stuff. And so I think you'll start seeing stuff pick up once people are getting into the routine of back to school stuff. and we'll start seeing more and more games. But I'm with you guys, a lot of exciting games, and I was going to bring up and talk about. I'm sure most of you tuned in and watched this Miami and Florida game. Obviously, Miami was hosting Big Mike and the Florida Gators. It came down to the last drive with like 20 seconds to go, and Miami ends up scoring. And I think there was like 2 or 3 lead changes late in the fourth quarter with under like 3 minutes to go, where they kept trading scores and touchdowns. And what are your instant thoughts on that game, the rankings, how that it affects the ACC versus the SEC?
Well, I called it at the 2 minute mark, so I gotta say the final 2 minutes were great to watch. In regards to rankings, it's not gonna affect that much on this poll because the poll has been open since yesterday, but it will at least have Mike drop probably into the teens as of next week, and then you have Miami moving up as well. But I don't think Miami will jump Mike with the win. I also have one more game to add once we're done all this. Now that I remember.
What about you, DK? And you played in the SEC. How does a loss like this, how can a loss like this really affect you? A game that you thought you maybe had won, a big out of conference game.
The SEC it really doesn't play that much of a part in the long scheme of things, or the grand scheme of things, I should say, because it's an early game, and if he finishes out in his conference, then I mean we can still see him at a conference championship game, and we can definitely still see him in the CFP. So I don't really think this hurts as much as some would think, especially because it was mainly because it's so early in the season, and because it's out of conference. Now, I'm not sure. Was that a rivalry game for Florida?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yep.
That should be new. But yeah, that right there, that's the only thing that I can see like it hurting if he gets like rocked 1 or 2 more games, then I can see that hurting as far as like his season success goals and stuff like that. But as far as at the end of the season championship game or the CFP, I don't think this loss will hurt him as much if he can still close it out solid with a solid season.
Yeah. What was your big game that you wanted to talk about here, Freak?
Bama at Boston College. Man, that game was crazy. I also tuned into that with about 3 minutes left in the game, and that would go down to time management. Roke had Smitty on the ropes up 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, a little time management errors under 2 minutes by not letting the clock run down to 40 seconds when Smitty wasn't calling timeout allowed Alabama back into the game where he was able to score 2 touchdowns and win the game.
Yeah, they that was kind of a hot topic last week in the chat, was people talking about the horrible clock management by teams coming down the stretch of games. And I think it probably just goes to show you that it's a video game, and sometimes you kind of forget when and where you can kind of like when and where is an acceptable time to start running the clock down, right? Like chewing the clock, or when is an acceptable time to be going and hurry up. Like those types of things are things that are probably one of those like iffy balances that you're just trying to kind of figure out. And I'm sure some people just completely forget about the time on the clock. I've definitely been guilty of that before halftime, where you're running the ball, you're throwing the ball, and then the time just expires. You weren't really paying attention. Be really
Personally,
interesting.
I try my best to pay attention to the clock when it comes down to like the second quarter and the fourth quarter. I mean, I'm not the greatest in regards to play calling, but time management I do a decent job at.
Well, boys, I don't have anything else to discuss today on PTD. Was there anything else you guys wanted to touch base on?
Nothing on my side. Was there anything in the Twitch chat that you saw?
No, not really. Everyone was kind of just agreeing with us. CG agreed that there was horrible clock management. They definitely need more game days or day games. And just that was about it. D Kennedy said that D Kane was being too nice when he said you should have just got fired. And so
Really?
that's
Just too
that's
nice.
just basically too nice. CG does say that Michigan State and USC is kicking off soon, so where everyone's going to get their wishes, and we're going to have an afternoon game here in the NDL. Two big storied programs going at each other. I don't know that they've ever played each other, CG and Texanol, and I don't know. I think USC is like 1-0, right? I don't know that they've played a lot of games right now.
Yes, they are. Hey,
Yeah, so
dear NDL, please vote my opponents up in the polls. Thank you. That will help us out big time.
Yeah, don't forget the polls are due tonight, Friday night, and they'll be released tomorrow morning on NDL Game Day. We have a game of the week is Penn State and Oregon. Oregon's traveling into Penn State, and that should be a good classic game that has a lot of implications for the college football playoff, definitely in that conference anyways. And so it'll be really interesting.
Will it be Happy Valley or Sad Valley at the end of that game?
Yeah, I wonder if they're doing like a whiteout. Like what kind of unis are they going with here?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be navy blue unis because they don't want Oregon's colors in there.
Yeah, if you go with navy blue, you're forcing Oregon to be light, probably. Because if you went with a whiteout, then Oregon's gonna probably go with some darker greens.
Wait, are you saying whiteout with some inclement weather?
Yeah,
No,
right.
snow?
Whiteout with some snow, man. Shell would love that.
Nope, I quit. I quit. We have to restart. That game's not getting played, buddy.
Yeah, we're gonna need to make sure JD has something to do with Mother Nature there, and maybe it snows.
Snowball 2.0.
It'd be really
I'll log on
interesting.
to it.
What's your take on this game? Did you think it's going to be a high scoring game or a low scoring game? Yeah, I mean, you just had the Ducks just gave up 49 points to the Beavers.
Oregon Speed, they win 42-21.
I can't really agree. I mean, in this game, it seems like the more weapons you have on either side, the more you guys kind of counteract each other. So it's kind of like you see the lower scoring games with the higher rated teams. It seems like. I don't know. I think it's going to be like a 27-21 type game.
What about you, Andy?
I think high scoring. I just feel like Shell's going to score, and we'll see how if it's high scoring if it goes high scoring both ways. I'm more convinced that it's high scoring on the Oregon side than I'm not saying it's going to be a runaway, but I don't see how he doesn't just score.
By the way, Andy only says that because he wants Penn State.
No, I have no chance for Penn State this year. Be as good as you can be here, Nidler. Because I have no chance to get them this year, so we need you to be as good as humanly possible.
You're right. D. Kennedy wants Penn State then.
Maybe. The thing is that I don't need Penn State's not even the kind of roster that I would play good with. I just want them because it's my school.
That's what's interesting is obviously some of these teams like Penn State are really set up to like ground and pound and let the defense play. Well, I mean, it's very evident this year that defense is very difficult right now. And running the ball is obviously very difficult. And so you've kind of taken out two of the biggest qualities that they have. And you take a team like Oregon, their biggest qualities are speed on their team. And so it'll be really interesting. It's obviously a complete matchup of two opposite teams. And so, but JD's been playing really well. He's had a couple big wins. And so it'll be interesting to see if he can just control the clock and keep Oregon's offense off the field. I don't have anything else. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Hang out with family, watch lots of football, and have fun working, freak.
Oh, and somebody do me a favor, send a little quick shout out to Bucknut. Tell him to get back to me so we can get this freaking game over with. Love you, man.
Well, the good news
Hey.
is you factor that in on a coach's report now.
Ooh,
That is true. That is true. If they're not making themselves very available or explaining their availability to you via the scheduling thread, then that is something that you could potentially dock them on the coaching report.
Ding, 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 ding.
Wouldn't that be some shit? Lose LSU because you just didn't do a good job. And I'm not saying he is because I haven't even looked at the scheduling thread, but
Good. It's been 2 days since I've heard from him.
By the way,
I think
VTech
he's
and Wake Forest about to kick off.
nice. I think Bucknut is a firefighter, if I'm not mistaken. He was on NDL
Bro, he
Community
was on
season.
He was on the PSN last night, and I sent him a message, and he didn't say anything to me.
Yeah, because he was on game day, I think, in the first season that we came back, and he had mentioned that he was a firefighter and he works. I think he maybe plays at the firehouse sometimes, and so I don't know. I could be speculating, but I could have swore he said he was a firefighter.
I don't think that was him.
Well,
I think that's the
All I
other
know is I saw him online last
Utah State guy. That's a
No,
firefighter.
I know Buckeye's a firefighter. He's been a firefighter for like 55 years.
I remember
But
him being BBB and saying he had some other type of job.
yeah, maybe it's just something to do with fire. Yeah, I don't remember. So AP, we want to APP out on Bucknut. Where is he, and also what does he do for a living? Well, that's all I have today on PTD, guys.
All right, see ya.
Have a good one.